G'day guys, how's it going? I'm Aaron Whitnell. This is ACW Sport, and week 29 of the 2017-2018 Premier League season saw yet another defeat for Arsenal as they went 2-1 down at Brighton. And it's just another poor performance really. I'm not really sure what more I can say about Arsenal. Cech had a really awful game. He took blame for both of the goals, which is kind of deserved, especially for the way he attempted to save Murray's header, which was Brighton's second goal. But aside from that, I just want to praise Brighton because they were phenomenal. They deserved their 2-0 lead, really went at Arsenal full of confidence. They've turned their stadium into a bit of a fortress, which is absolutely brilliant. And Chris Hughton deserves all of the plaudits that he's getting because I've always felt he's always been kind of screwed out of jobs or hasn't been given enough time. So it's great to see him finally being given a chance to show how good a coach and a manager he really is. Brighton are all but safe now, and I really hope that they do get to that 40-point mark and secure their safety in the Premier League for next season. As for Arsenal, like I said, there's not really too much more I can say. We know there's massive problems with Wenger. We know there's massive problems in terms of the way that they're playing. He needs to sort it out very, very quick and not have a mental breakdown, which is what he appeared to be doing when he started talking about being naked after the game. So let's hope he can sort himself and Arsenal out in the coming weeks. The only way they're going to qualify for the Champions League now is through the Europa League, so let's hope that they can win the Europa League, and if he does, that might be the perfect platform for him to step down and then obviously let someone else take charge with Arsenal. Again, being in the Champions League and also being able to just have a fresh stab at the Premier League with a bit more investment in the summer. So that's unfortunately what happened to Arsenal again this weekend, but fair play to Brighton. But the biggest thing that kind of happened this weekend, aside from obviously the Arsenal defeat, was an amazing comeback from Manchester United, which happened on the Monday Night Football last night. They came from 2-0 down to beat Crystal Palace 3-2. And until United went 2-0 down, they had been pretty bad, to say the least. They looked like they were playing in second gear the entire game. Pogba and Sanchez were losing the ball. Palace were really going at them, and fair play to them. And they deserved their 2-0 lead as far as I was concerned. Obviously, Townsend's shot in the opening 10 minutes took a massive deflection off Lindelof to wrong foot De Gea. He was never going to save it with the deflection on it that way. And then very quick thinking in the second half, saw Van Aanholt put through on goal, finished wonderfully past De Gea. And United were 2-0 down. It looked like they were heading for another defeat. But then all of a sudden, United thought, right, we should probably start playing now. So Chris Smalling got them back into the game with a header. Then Romelu Lukaku equalised somehow. I don't know how he squeezed it in. There were so many Palace players around him. How anyone didn't just throw themselves in front of him, I do not know. But fair play to Lukaku, keeps up his goal-scoring run. Obviously, that will fill him with confidence with another massive week coming up for United as they face Liverpool and then Sevilla in the Champions League. And then, of course, in the dying moments of the game, Nemanja Matic, with an absolute thunderbolt from 30 yards, took all 3 points back to Old Trafford for Manchester United. What a way to score your first goal for the club. And look, fair play to Jose because he made some changes when he realised things weren't working. United went 2-0 down. They got themselves back in the game and all of a sudden took off Ashley Young and Valencia, put on Luke Shaw. Great to see him back on the pitch. Put on Mata, who came on and really made a difference. But the big substitution I want to talk about is Marcus Rashford, who looked brilliant for me when he came on. Ran at Palace, caused them all kinds of problems, and it was great to see Rashford back on the pitch, and hopefully he can get some more playing time in the coming weeks, because I really think he could be a massive player for England at the World Cup. But yeah, congratulations to United, big 3 points for them. Moving on to a team that were utterly rubbish and didn't try and make a comeback, Chelsea. They were diabolically bad when they played Manchester City at the weekend. City ran out 1-0 winners in the end, and it has to be the easiest game they've played all season. Chelsea didn't try to do anything. Didn't even try to tackle them at one point. You've only got to look at the footage from Sky to show that City are literally just doing 1-2s, 1-2s, 1-2s. Not a single Chelsea player closing them down. Fabregas in the end walks up to Silva when he's got the ball and just stands there and lets him pass the ball back. It was utterly embarrassing. And look, I'm kind of fed up of listening to Conte moan. It's all he does. And people give Jose a hard time. All this guy does is moan and then he plays negative tactics like this. This isn't Chelsea. That isn't the way they should be playing. Why is Hazard up front playing the role of holding the ball up? That was never going to happen. For me, I don't know why Hazard, Willian and Pedro were on the pitch at the same time. It should have been Giroud, Hazard and Willian without a doubt. Giroud would have been able to hold the ball up. Willian and Hazard running off of him could have caused them some problems. But yeah, Conte was just negative as anything. And to be honest with you, I actually question whether or not the players want to play for him anymore. Because even if they tried to talk to him about how they feel. He seems to just kick him out the team anyway. You've only got to look at that with Costa and Luis, who, by the way, Luis should be in that team right now because they're putting too much on Christensen in his first full season. He's a great player, but have some experience alongside of him. And as we know, like Cahill has been struggling this season for form. Luis, if he's anything like the David Luiz that we saw last season, should be in that team. But yeah, it was just easy for City. Bernardo Silva on the score sheet again. He's on a really good run of form at the moment. But yeah, just a poor result for Chelsea, and really puts their hopes of being in the Champions League in danger. As for City, they're only 3 points away from securing the Premier League title. Now, on to the other two teams that are obviously chasing for the Champions League. Liverpool picked up a very easy win over Newcastle at Anfield. Mohamed Salah scoring yet again his 7th goal in as many games in all competitions this season. Sadio Mane then made it 2 thanks to a wonderful team build-up. And Liverpool remain unbeaten so far this season at Anfield. As for Newcastle, they created one clear chance, and that was through Diame, whose shot kind of took a bit of a deflection and forced a very good save at Karius. That was near half-time. But aside from that, it was just an easy win for Liverpool, and all roads head to Old Trafford for them next week, where they face Man United. And obviously, if they beat United, they do leapfrog them and go into second. So I cannot wait for that game. Tottenham, they have now all but secured themselves in the Champions League spots without, obviously, Chelsea being on goal difference or anything like that. They're now 5 points ahead of Chelsea, which is awesome, thanks to a 2-0 win over Huddersfield. Tottenham now unbeaten in 15 games in a row at Wembley. That's fantastic form to take into their Champions League game against Juventus. And Son loves playing at Wembley for Tottenham. He scored 9 goals in his last 11 games there. Huddersfield, again, very negative tactics. Weren't looking to try and get anything from the game. They just try to defend as much as they can. I can understand why they're doing it, because they are in a relegation battle, and they do think that obviously when they play the big teams, if they can keep the score as tight as possible, it means that that goal difference is almost like an extra point. But look, to focus more on Tottenham, Maurizio Pochettino, massive congratulations to him. He becomes the first non-European manager to win 100 Premier League games. 81 wins with Spurs and 19 with Southampton. Fair play to him. All he needs now is a trophy. So hopefully he gets that this season in the form of the FA Cup, or maybe even the Champions League. Who knows? Now, focusing on the relegation battle, Swansea picked up yet another massive win. They destroyed West Ham 4-1 at the Liberty. They're now unbeaten at the Liberty in 4 Premier League games in a row. 7 games in a row in all competitions, if you include the FA Cup. And yeah, Swansea now go above West Ham in 13th on goal difference. And it was just a wonderful performance from them. West Ham, it was awful from them. They really weren't in the game. But look, I mean, Swansea had a few things to celebrate aside from the 3 points. They scored their 300th Premier League goal. Like I said, it now takes them up to 13th. They are still in a relegation battle, though. Don't let that position fool you. But the way they're going, you can't see them not going. Well, you can't see them not surviving now. And fair play to Carvajal, because he's come in and he's been a complete breath of fresh air. Swansea have only lost 2 of the 15 games he's been in charge of them for. So yeah, he's been absolutely brilliant. You know, that's 8 wins and 5 draws. So fair play. And look, the Ayew brothers really had the bit between their teeth. I think Andre Ayew really wanted to show West Ham they made a mistake in selling him, even though he wasn't particularly great for them. Showed a few moments of magic, but aside from that, he was okay for them. But yeah, look, fair play to him and his brother Jordan, because they absolutely destroyed West Ham. And Ayew, I mean, Jordan, all of his goals in the Premier League this season have actually come in the second half. So clear to see that if you're going to play him, just keep him as a sub in the first half and bring him on in the second half. He'll do you a better job that way. But look, Antonio scored again for West Ham coming off the bench. It was West Ham's 1,000th Premier League goal, although not really a goal to celebrate, I suppose. But I just don't understand why Antonio isn't starting. Because between him, Lanzini, Arnautovic and Hernandez, West Ham have got a good attack. But Moyes just doesn't, all of a sudden, like the Moyes kind of factor seems to be kind of grating away. And they're not the same team that they were a few weeks ago. Not sure why, though. But he needs to get that sorted out soon if they are going to stay up. As for a team that are all but relegated, West Brom went down 1-0 at Watford. Troy Deeney with a wonderful finish to give Watford all 3 points. It was a goal that he scored was on his 300th Premier League appearance, so congratulations to him. As for West Brom, they haven't won away since August, and that pretty much explains why they're in the relegation zone and why they are, I think it's now 8 points from safety. How they're expected to pick up any points in the coming games, I'm not sure. They've only won 1 of the 15 games under Pardew. That was at Anfield, which is incredible. Sorry, that was against Brighton. Sorry, that's in the Premier League. As for 2 games under Pardew, then 1 in the FA Cup, well, 2 in the FA Cup, 1 in the Premier League. But yeah, I mean, when you look at their upcoming fixtures, they've got Man United away and Tottenham. So I just don't see how they're going to pick up the wins that they need to stay up. So if I was West Brom, I'd start planning for life in the Championship. Everton, they lost again under Allardyce, and I don't know what's going on. They started so well. They even took the lead with Toussaint scoring his first goal for the club, and he became the first Turkish player to score in the Premier League since 2013 as well. As for Burnley, it was really weird because they haven't won in 12, and they'd lost all 15 games that they conceded first in. But boy, did they turn it around. Barnes and Woods getting the goals for them in the second half. It was Woods' first goal at Turf Moor since October, a massive goal for him. And yeah, they just seem to be better than Everton in the second half, and that's why they won. And things obviously weren't helped when Ashley Williams got sent off. Really silly red card. I don't know what he was thinking. But Everton have now lost their last 5 Premier League games away from home in a row. So Allardyce needs to sort out their away from if they're not going to get sucked down that table. But look, you do expect Everton will be fine in the end. It's just, sadly, things aren't quite going the way Sam Allardyce would have hoped. And then the last 2 games this weekend, Leicester, they drew 1-1 with Bournemouth. Bournemouth have never actually won at the Liberty, but they came very, very close. King had won the penalty that gave Bournemouth the lead because he was fouled by Brighton. He then scored the penalty, but I don't quite understand how it was allowed to stand because the ball wasn't on the spot, it was in front of the spot. And how the referee came over and inspected that and said, oh yeah, it's fine. I have no idea. But look, there was all kinds of controversy around this because, you know, Daniels was unlucky to not win a second penalty for Bournemouth when he was clearly shoved over by Ndidi. But then Mahrez equalised, and don't get me wrong, it was a stunning equaliser, and it was his 10th goal of the season, but it was in the 7th minute of stoppage time. Why were there 7 minutes of stoppage time? They didn't actually clear that up on Match of the Day. So please, anyone who was at the game or anyone who saw the game in full, please comment below, let me know why that game had 7 minutes of stoppage time. And then finally, Southampton and Stoke drew 0-0. I predicted it, and I don't know why anyone would have thought otherwise. They're both rubbish, and this game proved why. Neither of them can score. And part of the reason for that, from a Southampton perspective, is because Charlie Austin has only started 5 Premier League games this season, and yet he's their top goal scorer. So, yeah, a bit awkward. But at the moment, you've got to say these 2 teams look like they're going down. This game didn't really do anything to change my mind on that. So we'll have to see how they do in the coming weeks. But that is pretty much everything I have to say on how week 29 of the 2017-2018 Premier League season went down. Do you agree with what I've had to say? Please comment below, let me know. Always interested to find out. Don't forget to subscribe to ACW Sport, and I will see you guys again soon.